Hey everybody, it's finals week here at Olivet College, the week when students walk around campus like the walking dead and depend heavily on caffeine to stay alive. Now, for some of us, exams aren't too stressful. For others, they're a time that you could probably see a lot of emotional breakdowns around campus. Regardless of how you're making it through finals, you're probably sick of it, your parents are probably sick of hearing you complain about it, and you're just ready to be home. That's why I won't bore you with my finals. Today we're going to talk about books. But I'm not going to talk about general books. I'm going to talk about textbooks, why they cost so much, why they're increasing in price, and how to avoid those prices. This is my business law textbook. Guess how much it cost? You're right, $300. So why do textbooks cost so much? It's a complicated question with an equally complicated answer. I found some studies and I found some articles, one by the Huffington Post, one by NBC, and two by the University of Michigan. You can see in this graphic how the price of textbooks since 1978 has increased 812%, while the price for medical services has increased 575%, and the cost of new homes has increased 325%. We hear about the cost of medical expenses increasing all the time, but in fact, textbooks have increased 300% more than the cost of medical expenses. The biggest question here is why do they cost so much? We can break it down like this. 1 cent for every dollar goes toward a freight or shipping expense. 7.4 cents goes towards the college bookstore's overhead, covering things like insurance and utilities. 11 cents goes towards bookstore staff. That goes towards handling orders, stacking shelves, and buying back books. The rest of that dollar, 78%, goes toward making the book, publishing the book, and paying the authors and all the other administrative costs that go along with publishing a book. A study by the University of Iowa claims that publishers make an 11% profit on the books, while bookstores make a 20% profit. So now that you know where all the money goes, the question becomes, why is it getting so expensive? An article by the Huffington Post claims that most of this cost comes from the monopolization and lack of competition of publishers. 5 publishers own 85% of the textbooks. This means there's not a lot of competition between pricing. And, a lot like pharmaceutical drugs, your books are assigned by a doctor. This means that publishers can directly influence your professors to assign specific books, ones that cost more and make better revenues. This means that publishers aren't as focused on price competitiveness as they are on quality of the book. And in some ways, this is good. You want a high quality textbook that gives you proper information. On the flip side, when you're paying to go to college and you're not working a full-time job, it's hard to care how great your textbook is when you can't afford to buy it. What I find most interesting is even despite these rising costs, students are actually paying less for textbooks. Part of this is because they just refuse to buy them. But because the costs are rising more, students are finding really creative ways on avoiding those prices. So here are some tips on how to buy cheaper textbooks. 1, as a rule of thumb, I always go online. That's because I can reach a national market. I'm not just stuck to one location. I can find the best deal in all of America versus the best deal in one part of Michigan. 2, rent your textbooks. I find it to be incredibly cheaper to rent my textbook than to buy a new one or a used one. And I don't need that book after I finish the class. I have kept some of my textbooks and I can tell you right now that I've never opened them again. 3, you can buy a book and share it. Now this isn't always the best option, but if you have someone you can trust in your class and you sit next to them, it's probably a good idea to chip in. You each buy half the book and then you can use it at the same time. Number 4, always sell your books back. If you don't rent them and you find it cheaper to buy them, then you can always sell the book back to the bookstore. If you do this, be sure to be the first one online. Bookstores will generally pay you more for turning in your book earlier than if you turn it in later. It's a supply and demand thing. They've already got so many, so if you're turning your book in near the end and they already have 20 of them, you're less likely to get a good price. Step number 5, you can always use the library. This may seem obvious, but not all books are designed for classes or textbooks. Some are just required or recommended reading materials. Those can be found in your library, and if you can't find them at yours, a lot of states use a system where they can mail books from other local libraries to yours. In this way, I can get a book from Ann Arbor and get it shipped to Olivet, and I don't have to pay a dime. That's all I have for today. I hope it was helpful, and don't forget to check my past vlogs down in the description below. I'll include a link to Olivet College's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as links to my old videos. Always be sure to check out OC Stories, and I want to thank them for sponsoring our vlogs. This is Bruce Baker, signing off. Give me the wave.